Hello, everybody. Welcome to the LAN Party Podcast. It is Tuesday. It's July... Did I get the date right in the title? It's July 16th, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes. What?
I specifically remember this date because I had an interview. Yes, it is the 16th.
Yeah, Nate, it's the 16th, stupid.
Okay.
God.
You just don't care because it's not a work day.
Yeah, Nate doesn't know what date it is. He just knows whether or not he has to work.
Yeah.
What made you not go in yesterday?
I didn't want to.
Bitch.
I texted him yesterday because he was asking where we were going for dinner tonight because he had some gift cards. I'm like, I don't know. Any of those places sound fine. And then I'm like, wait a minute. It's like 5 o'clock. And I texted him, like, are you running late for work? He's like, yeah, I'm not going.
They did. Because they're being fucking stupid. That's why I didn't want to go in.
They got your hours all screwed up.
Well, they changed their schedule so they can give another crew overtime. And I fucking hate morning shifts. So, yeah.
Yeah, don't blame me on that because
And
your
then-
morning shifts suck.
What was it? Sunday? Yeah, Sunday morning when I went into work, they called up. They told us we were going to be working only 10 hours. And then something happened, and they said, "Oh, you guys have been working overtime now." And we only went on break for 10 hours, and I was like, "What? You're not supposed to be able to do that." So I just kept stopping the line. I was like, "Well, you guys want to catch up on those trucks?" And that's not happening. Boss came over. He's like, "Is everything all right over here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just getting really wore out."
Yeah, I feel like it's time for a break.
I was relieved when they called 10 hours, but now we're doing 10-7. I don't know if I can keep up. I don't know if I can keep the line going. And they changed it back to 10 hours. And I started.
And you started working again.
Nice.
Did they do that to you guys on Sunday too?
I didn't work Sunday.
You didn't work Sunday?
No.
Wow, you're both bad eggs.
STS TPT didn't come back till the 15th, aka yesterday.
Ours did.
Well, fuck you guys. I would have liked that extra day.
I see it wouldn't
He
handle.
wouldn't have because he's already missed 2 days since shutdown. How many days have you been scheduled? 3?
What?
You've had 3 work days since you've been back, and you've only worked one of them?
I've had 4. I worked 2.
Oh, that's right. You did work.
I took.
You had 4 and you worked 2.
Yeah, Friday I used
Good odds.
family day. And I
For
called
what?
I called in last night. Well, because I thought I was going to
Oh,
be going
you
to Washington,
called in last night, so I was texting somebody who wasn't there. I was like, man, he's actually answering really fast for being out of line.
Yeah. But yeah, Sunday they called 10 hours.
Yeah.
And they came back. We went on break for 10 hours, and they came back, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are working over now because we had a breakdown."
Nice.
Wait,
You're like-
is this yours, Tal, or is it yours?
It's
his.
fine.
I was gonna say it didn't look like something Nick would have. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, instead he
It's
spent
badass.
the time we spent a lot of time last night engineering in space,
Nice.
doing some valuable R&D.
Some shakedown testing.
You know what?
I promptly
Really, really terrifying testing, mind you.
I
What
managed.
I did last night? I sat.
Were you over by the tire line area?
Yeah. I was right before they dropped the engine into the chassis.
Oh, so I would have been able to see you from where I work, probably.
Probably. But yeah, we ran out of tires. How does a fucking car plant run out of tires?
I like how we had a conversation going, and Tyler's like, "Fuck you all! I want to talk about me."
Yeah.
Because we just got back
I
from
am.
shutdown. That's why. You're gonna have to get used to this. When we get back
Listen.
from shutdown, everything goes a little fucky.
Whoever was in charge of logistics that day was just like, okay, 800 trucks today. That's 800 tires.
Thanks for the like, Otaku.
Times 4. 5 actually.
What?
5. You gotta put the spare on.
Sometimes they don't
I
have
mean,
spares, and plus you gotta take into account
Okay.
the dualies that have 6 wheels.
Anyways, back onto gaming, the original thing that this podcast was originally about, OG LAN Party. By the way, fun fact.
I'll throw this at you.
It's never
No,
been
you won't.
only about gaming. Let's
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
you know,
never.
it's
Half the time it's like gaming podcast. Every other week we talk about cars or something else.
No, it's usually like it starts with gaming and we have gaming inspired conversation, but the gaming spawns tangent discussions like it is right now. Like there's a tangent discussion that branches off.
Discussions about tangent discussions.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. This podcast just becomes a large series of tangents. Tangents. Very tangents.
Yeah, that's what we should call the podcast. Except we're all white as fuck.
I'm gonna say it's like,
Excuse me.
Okay, you were the only one who got out this summer.
Well, I can't. I'm not gonna like if I roll up my sleeves.
Ooh,
It's yeah.
What a nasty farmer's tan.
damn.
I told you it's bad.
Got some tan lines.
When I was waxing my car the other day, I was actually wearing my compression tank top to try and at least smooth that out.
No, they're gonna work.
But yeah, we were doing some pretty. So Nick managed to break my very innovative forklift that had not broken up to that point in my several days of research. He jumped in, he got in, he went to lift a box, and the mast split. Like the mast is supposed to move up as one, and it went whoop. One lifted and one did not. And then he's like, okay, I'll try getting on at a different angle. And he got a good bite, and then he started lifting, and the forklift started going into the ground.
It's like, this is not how this is supposed to work.
I'm like, what have you done?
I'm like, I don't know.
Turns out the cargo crates just glitched into the ground.
Yeah. Then I
That makes
almost
a lot of sense.
I did break a Jeep.
He did break a Jeep.
I did a very successful hill climb and then nosedive into a crater.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I made it to the top. Yeah, thunk.
And
Shit.
it flipped into the crater. So when it went in, it landed on its roof, and it was at an angle in a crater. And I'm like, well, it's stuck.
We're not getting that shit back.
And then after I deleted it, he's like, we should have left it as like a tribute. And I'm like, Nick, it won't be hard to do that again. We just got to drive it up the hill and go really fast into the crater. And then we airdropped a Jeep on a pallet. I made a pallet specifically for the Jeep, and I launched it out of our gravity cannon in space.
Nice.
And it successfully landed. Parachutes deployed and all. It was equipped with, it was a battery-powered pallet. And so the way I have it set up is with the forklifts that I've built, theoretically you can continue to reuse a pallet once it enters atmosphere, but you load the Jeep up on it. It's got a landing gear on the front that'll grab the Jeep when it's in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you grab it with the forklift in space and push it into the end of the gravity tube and then activate the artificial mass, again, powered by the battery. The artificial mass will make it shoot out of the gravity tube at about 40 meters a second. Because, again, it has no propulsion. It's just a big flat pallet with arches to support the Jeep. And it'll shoot out, and after, I'd say it took about 8 to 10 minutes to reach the planet's surface. By the time it reached the planet's surface, it was going a full 360 meters a second, which was absolutely horrifying because I was in the Jeep when it was happening. And the parachutes are set to deploy automatically. It's got 4 parachutes, 2 on either end. And they're set to deploy automatically at 800 meters. And I'm getting closer and closer to the planet's surface, and I'm looking at my altitude, and I'm like, oh God, this is gonna... And then, like, I'm seeing the planet's surface fastly approach, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. This is the end. All of my research has gone into nothing. And then all of a sudden, the parachutes went... And it went from 360 meters a second to, like, 70. Like, that.
I wonder what the G's would be on that.
I can't even imagine.
I wonder how hard you would have slammed your face into the wheel.
And then the last 800 meters were really, really, like, it swayed a little bit when it was coming down. But other than that, it landed nice and gently, turned the Jeep on, disabled the landing gear, backed it off the pallet, and drove it to the base. It landed 200 meters from the base.
Nice.
Which is astoundingly impressive given the trajectory that it made exiting the gravity gun. Because the mass was really hard to predict for, because theoretically the pallet is going to weigh one thing. Like, the pallet itself is level. It's the same design all around.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a little, like you're talking 4 or 5 pounds heavier in the front than in the back, because the back has ramps.
Yeah.
But when you load the Jeep on it, in space, that weight doesn't matter, except for the fact that it's going to slow down its traveling speed. So when I activated the artificial mass, I'm looking down the tunnel at the front of the pallet, and the pallet starts to flip forward. And it flips forward, and it catches, and it bounces, and then it went out of the gravity gun like that, tipping forward and backward, and then it shot out spinning.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, it's not gonna make it to the surface. It's gonna fall apart in atmosphere. But after about 3 kilometers, it smoothed out.
It's stabilized.
Yeah.
It's a good thing there's not atmosphere burn.
I know that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
But
that
could you
shit
imagine
would've-
how cool that would look?
Yeah,
It-
fucking
Yeah, except there would.
a flaming jeep descending from the heavens.
The heat shield just deploys, and the drog chute comes out, and you just got this hypersonic pallet with a jet on it coming into the Earth's surface.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Well, what's on there? It's a
Fucking Jeep.
it's a jeep.
All of that for a Jeep? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was like thousands of millions of dollars. Yep.
Airdrop a jeep right now. Space drop.
Actually, the way we
Halo
have it
drop.
designed, it's really cheap.
It is.
There's no fuel involved.
No, there's no fuel. It's battery powered. And like I said, with a forklift, you can pick it up on the forklift, and Nate built a really good like cargo barge. I don't know if that's been on stream yet, but it will be in the near future.
I think it was. Is the one you?
It was the early
Yeah.
version. It has been completely...
Oh, okay, you redid it.
It looks very similar to the way it did in the last stream, but as far as functionality is concerned, it has been completely redone, and it functions way better now. But you can land it on the surface, and then you take the forklift, and you lift the forklift up, grab the pallet, put it on the cargo ship, take it back up to space. So you can keep reusing those pallets.
That was a good call on the pallets though. I was trying to figure that out while you guys were on stream too. It's like how you're gonna fucking stick that shit in there, and Nate's just like, why don't we just stick them on pallets?
The pallets are still hard to do because being that they're a separate grid,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a handful to keep them in place. Because ideally, the whole point of a pallet is to take up not a lot of space
Yeah.
while still transporting cargo. So in order to keep it from taking up a lot of space, it has to be flat on the bottom. The bottom of that's 1 block thick. It's heavy armor, but it's not very tall. So if I want it to be able to safely latch to anything, I have to cut into that 1 block of armor and put a landing gear or a connector. And then things start to get a little wonky as far as weight distribution and
Yeah.
all that. So it's one of the things on my checklist to research and keep working on, because I want that pallet to shoot out of that gravity tube flawlessly by the time we're ready to start survival mode. Because, and it might come down, the forklift struggle to lift it, because I haven't shown it on stream yet, but I have created, Nate's forklift was his magnum opus, and my forklift is my magnum opus. It is.
I think the barge is now my magnum opus.
Yeah, the barge is pretty damn good.
I think the micro pallet mover is my second.
I think the forklift has been eclipsed. But I'll have to show it on stream next time I stream Space Engineers. But it's
Sea of Space Engineers.
Sea of Space Engineers. The pallet is made out of all heavy armor blocks because I wanted it to be able to withstand an impact in case some malfunction happened and the parachute closed a few whatever meters from the ground.
Mhm.
I wanted it to be able to hit the surface, and if anything, the battery would break and like the blocks would break, but the Jeep would be left intact. So I didn't make it out of light armor. That said, because it's heavy armor, for some reason the forklift can pick up the Jeep with ease, but it cannot pick up the pallet without a Jeep on it.
Without a jeep on it. So you can pick up the jeep that's on
Oh,
the
yeah.
pallet and pick up both, but you can't pick up.
No.
just the pallet.
I can't. I haven't tried picking up the Jeep on the pallet, but I can just drive up to a Jeep, get it with the forklift, and lift it up like to full height without the forklift tipping. If I try to pick up the pallet, the back of the forklift goes. Nyeh.
Maybe you just need a heavier forklift.
Yes, but it's like I have to continue working on it. That might be like the Mark 1. I might do like a second model year of it that's a little heavier.
Yeah, the heavy duty.
Well,
the
because
heavy-duty forklift.
it's specifically designed to be heavier in the back. It's rear engined. It's got 2 4-cylinder hydrogen engines mated together, so it's a big V8 hydrogen engine, and it's in the very, very back with 2 wheels sitting right underneath it, 2 axles, and then it's got 1 axle on the front. So it is heaviest at the back. And I don't remember. I know I was tinkering with it, but I don't know if I ran with the design, not for mainly for lack of having to get rid of one because it broke or it glitched. But I had it so that everything surrounding the engine was heavy armor and everything surrounding the cab was light armor. So that way it was rear heavy, so when you picked up a full cargo container, it didn't tip forward.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I know the huge forklifts at cutters that are designed to lift tons and tons of material. I think they have concrete frames in the back or shit like that.
Solid steel.
Probably solid steel.
Forklifts
Our-
usually tend to weigh quite a bit.
Yeah.
For this reason.
Our Caterpillar at its thickest point is that much steel, and it is solid.
It's crazy.
Like, I think I remember them saying that one of those forklifts at work weigh like 7 Super Duties or something like that.
Yeah, they're intense.
Well, I know that we have a forklift. Forklift 1 at my new job is it's got like 4 feet. Its weight capacity is still like 12 tons. Like, that's how heavy duty of a lift it is. I think the motherfucker weighs like 12,000 pounds.
They're small and really compact.
Yeah.
That's how they
They're
lift all that
they're
heavy shit.
extremely dense.
That's why when they run over your foot, your toes pop like ketchup packets.
Yeah, it doesn't just break your foot. It degloves your entire foot and it disintegrates
Okay.
the bones.
Time to fucking stop.
Back to
This is-
research and
this is
development.
What you learn when you get a job in a factory. By the way.
So yeah, I did find out when trying to balance out the forklift, artificial mass does not work in atmosphere.
It doesn't.
No.
That's
Space balls do.
Huh?
Spaceballs? What are spaceballs?
Gravity,
You
essentially,
said
or not gravity.
Artificial mass doesn't work in atmosphere.
Artificial mass does not work in physical gravity
Why would you need it to?
to add weight. Like a programmable amount of weight, which you can't even
Mass
do with
and weight are
mass.
two different things.
Well, then explain to me why artificial mass
Like a
changes the
planet,
center of gravity.
Like Earth doesn't weigh anything,
Then
but it has a really heavy mass,
okay, well,
high mass.
ships need mass to sit closer to the ground. They need mass to be affected by gravity, is what I'm saying. At least in space engineers, that's how that works.
What do you mean, like in space?
Yes, or
Yeah, you have to have artificial mass in space to be affected by gravity, because the reason they have it that way is because of the in-game mechanics. Technically, the ships always have. In real life, it would always have mass. In the game doesn't recognize the ship as having mass.
No,
So
it
they
has
have-
mass, but it's not affected until it's in physical gravity. Physical gravity pulls the
You
ship.
have to have. The actual mass is only affected by actual gravity.
Yes, exactly.
And when you have
Artificial mass.
Artificial gravity, you have to have artificial mass.
Right.
Yeah.
So, now that we've got that established, apparently spaceballs add mass in and out of atmosphere. Like, they have the same function, I think. So, going to experiment with that.
Don't mind me.
He's just fucking
Yo ho, yo ho.
Jesus, Nate.
I've been wanting to drink some of this for a while.
And he's been wanting to drink it for so long, then he's asked me all but one time since New Year's where it's been.
Oh, I had some at home, but I just ran out. Not this exact same kind.
How many swigs of that has he had since I've been here? Just the one?
one.
Just that one.
that was the first one.
I'm disappointed, honestly.
Well, when they first pulled it out, I had like half a can of Dr. Pepper. I was like, tempting, but no.
So yeah, the Unity is now in what I would consider final construction on the exterior. Would you say, Nate? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Final construction, exterior-wise.
It's going through and making it purty.
Interior-wise, it's in like planning.
Yeah.
We have the frame.
Barely.
There's a few small parts of the ship that are There's one small section of the ship that's completely done, and there's a few that are close to.
The hangars, I would presume. I
hangars
consider
are
the
pretty much
hangars to be
completely
completely done. We're just gonna have to flush out the oxygen system before we go live with it to make sure that nothing's gonna cause problems.
A lot of piping.
We do have to run pipes, but that one's in final construction. We started constructing a shuttle last night. By we, I mean Nate, because Nate does all the building, because Nick and I make bricks that function.
Well, I never get to the point where I can add on extra pieces to the exterior to make it look, not a brick. It's gonna have something.
I mean,
it out.
even if you get to that point,
Function.
exactly, Nate approaches things form before function.
It's raining.
And I do sincerely believe that form before function creates better looking ships.
I don't completely agree with that though. I think function before form if you're wanting an industrial look.
That's very true. That's what you did with the barge, isn't it?
Yeah, see, I tried the form before function and got even nowhere.
Well, that's because you and I are not creative when it comes to building things.
Yeah.
Nate can look at something in a picture and go, "Ooh, I want to build that," and just fucking go to town.
That's what I'm doing, actually. That's where that cargo, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's an image of a ship I found somewhere, and it's like, I want to build this, and I'm trying.
I know in Minecraft, I started out by looking up tutorials on how to build houses, and I would just follow the designs exactly. And when I did that, I learned pieces of like, how do you make a flat wall look good? Well, you just add these little pieces to it, and you just take that, design your own thing, and you just keep expanding on it. Space Engineers, though, has been completely... I haven't even looked at any tutorials.
No. I did find a really handy guide online that's got some good information on it. We need to get a final count on the number of gyroscopes we have when we put gyros in that ship. I want to know. And we're going to be using the 500% gyroscope. So whatever number of gyroscopes we have, you multiply that by 5 to find out how many vanilla game gyroscopes we would need to move that thing.
Probably a lot.
Probably like...
I'm expecting probably at least 100.
100?
At least 100, I said. To move it.
Dude.
To be functional.
What,
Dude, that's way undershooting.
How many did the Oasis have? Like,
I think the Oasis had 100.
yeah, I remember it having a lot. Because every time you would turn it just a little bit, the power consumption went...
The Oasis also, like, those chambers on the side of the ship, those are filled with gyroscopes.
They need to add like a big gyroscope.
One big gyroscope that's
Yeah.
worth like 500. You just place that in the middle of a large ship.
Now, you gotta remember, this thing ain't gonna be the most...
Nimble thing.
No,
in the world.
it's not.
the Oasis can turn a lot... can turn pretty damn well for how
That's
big
what
it
I was-
is.
Have you told them how many Titan engines it's going to have?
Oh god, we've got the cross section. We're gonna have to log in and show you. I've got on the bridge, there's a console that shows the ship on display as it's currently standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a button pad in front of it that you can cycle through. You can see what kind of armor it's got, like whether or not the armor's damaged, if there's any missing blocks, or what the block integrity is. And you can also cut away all armor and check the interior status. The interior status shows engines. Most of the ship is engines. I kid you not. It came up to like 29, 28 Titan engines.
Yeah, it's I think it's like 25, but I haven't placed them all yet.
Are those the most...
Forward facing. That's just forward facing.
That's just forward facing.
Oh, are those the most effective ones?
They're the most compact.
They're the most effective in space. The
Well,
Titan
that's true, yeah.
Yeah. Did we ever figure out what was the best one for atmosphere?
hydrogen.
That doesn't do that.
That what?
Hydrogen.
That's not hydrogen.
There's no good ones for atmosphere. There's some that work. The VTOL, or not the VTOL, but the heli engines work. But you have to have a bunch of them.
Hydrogen thrusters are by far the best, but they're kind of laggy if you get too excessive with it, and you burn through hydrogen fuel like you would gasoline, basically. Like it's always being burnt.
Yeah.
Also, The large atmospheric thrusters, I think they're the vanilla ones. I'm not sure, but they're really good too. But they're super power consuming.
Mm.
The atmosphere is a bitch. That's why I built forklifts, like with wheels, so that you could save fuel. And that forklift is the golden design because it refuels itself. As long as you've got ice in the oxygen generator, it'll keep on pumping oxygen. And when it pumps oxygen, hydrogen is a byproduct. And so the cockpit gets oxygen and the engine gets hydrogen. Never runs out of fuel.
That makes sense.
And our landing pad is a frozen fucking lake. So if we ever run out of ice, we've done messed up.
Yeah, you know the salt lakes out in, what is that, Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got the Great Frozen Lake. That's our testing area.
And our landing pad.
Yep.
For the barge. Because I did not feel like building a landing pad. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to hollow out a chunk of tunnel from this frozen lake all the way to the base. And I did. So that way you can transport stuff from the base to the ship and vice versa, because the base is underground. And I didn't want to build flying ships in atmosphere because of how power intensive they are. So yeah, we also have to build all of the various ships to use in and out of atmosphere. We have to use fighters. Welcome to the stream, Black Rose. We have to use fighters and like mining ships and everything.
I really need to get a computer.
Yes, you do.
Fighter ships are probably going to be the most difficult to
Yeah, because that's
design.
we might have to have two different ones, I think.
Fighter ships. Yeah, we can't.
I say if it
You
were
guys
me,
have problem building small things.
No, the problem with fighters is they're so small, they get destroyed almost instantly when they get into
Yeah.
combat.
because
Yeah.
the AI in that game don't miss ever.
I think they also are scripted to aim for the cockpit.
Yes,
So
they
your
are.
cockpit goes out instantly.
Or
You
the-
get into
the-
combat and your ship's ineffective. So you
The-
have to
the-
like strategically place the cockpit or something.
They aim for core components.
Yeah.
So your reactors and thrusters are.
Now that
first.
said, those reactive shields that I have, those work on small ships.
Yeah, that's true.
I was gonna say if you can make it with a shield generator, then that would be great.
The shield generators do draw a lot of power, and they're not necessarily very small,
or reactive shields.
but
Whatever you
they expand the lifespan of the ship noticeably. I wouldn't say drastically, but noticeably.
You can
Also-
also try and see if it's possible to bury the cockpit and use cameras and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely possible. It's hard to do that and make it aesthetically pleasing too.
Yeah.
Drones.
We've experimented with drones before.
That is true. But no, what I think we need to do, because you were trying to decide if we had a discussion last night as to whether or not we wanted like long range fighters or close range fighters. I think we should have a light fighter and a heavy fighter, and one of them is long range, one of them is close range. The light fighter would probably be long range because it's not going to be as well armed and as armored. The heavy fighter could be more armored, so it's ready for close and medium range combat.
If you think about it, in real life, fighter jets have the exact same problem that our jets would have, our combat ships would have in the game.
They're too
There's-
fragile.
Because you get instantly blown out of the sky by heat-seeking missiles. There's a new item in the game, however, the decoys. If we could figure out how to make those work, then we don't have to worry about that
basically
as
like
much.
chaff or flares.
You just have to put down as much damage as quickly as possible and then get the heck out of there. Boom and zoom tactics.
Which is
Pretty
what
much.
modern fighters do.
Another
If you can put long range armament.
Just
on your
strap a
fighters,
super,
too.
just strap a super laser to it, and we're good to go.
They just put one fucking laser on that thing and just fly out of range and pew.
Well, I was also thinking is like make remote controlled nukes. just have like
And
the
nuke
front cone is nothing but heavy armor blocks. You got your remote control block and your nuke in the back, so it just goes forward and just impacts, detonates.
The trick, though, is so how would we use the decoys? Like,
To
would
experiment with it. I don't know. We we put like a little bomb bay and have landing gear holding decoys in it. And as you get close to the enemy, just drop them.
Ooh, I'm gonna make a bomber now.
Or you can make maybe some sort of something to shoot them out. We'll have to look into it.
We got to keep in mind, though, they're going to have power.
The decoys?
Yeah.
Oh, they have to have power?
I'm pretty sure. Even if
We
they
can
don't
make
have...
decoy drones that just follow the fighters.
That's
a
the
good
winning
idea.
idea right there.
That's a good idea.
Swarm tactics.
Battery powered, solar
The
powered.
U.S. military is messing with that right now. They're making fighter jets, little drones that swarm with them.
That's fucking crazy.
Solar powered drones.
I want to make a bomber now
We'll
because
black
he
out
just
the
gave me
sky with drones.
he just gave me an idea. 'Cause I can make some kind of decent sized bomber. The underneath will have just the hangar doors open up and landing gear with like whatever on it. You just drop them.
We got to be careful with decoys, though, because if they're not powered, if they don't require power, that is, that means that at any point in time they're going to attract fire from whatever you're attacking. So even before you're ready to open the doors, you're going to be getting the bomb bay shot up because your decoys are active.
Yeah.
The drone idea sounds better.
About to do some experimenting, like I said.
Yeah. Valuable R&D. Research and development. And then we also have to finish building the shuttle.
You know, another problem is space combat. Realistically, all space combat would be done from such a great distance you would never see the enemy. But in the game, our weapons are limited in range. So,
Except maybe the Atlas Super Laser,
yeah.
which me and Nick are going to be testing the next time we play. Tyler, this Super Laser is horrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It is like, the analogy is perfect. It is literally like you heat a knife up over a fire and cut through a stick of butter. That is how this laser goes through. We put one on the Unity and we pointed it at the Oasis. We fired it once at the Oasis and it punched a hole like 8 blocks wide straight through the outer chamber of gyroscopes, through the starboard side of the hull, through all of the rooms, through the port side of the hull, through the port chamber of gyroscopes, and out the other side.
Dang. You need to put that like at the very front of the Oasis and just fire through the middle.
That was what I tried doing. I was trying to separate, and I got a really good run on it, so we placed 5 of them down. And then we shot all 5 at the same time. And because of how powerful they are, the game kind of has a hiccup whenever they've charged up and they're supposed to fire. They're supposed to fire instantly after they charge.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it goes whoop, 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 whoop.
Great sound effects.
It's like the calm before the storm.
Game's like, oh shit.
Band camp tomorrow. Enjoy the heat.
Have fun.
Um,
Hope it doesn't rain.
But so I took the Oasis past it, and I was gonna try to do another run, but the first run was so good because it went straight down the middle of the ship as I was changing elevation, and it was just explosion after explosion. It took out all of my forward facing thrusters. Or no, my reverse thrusters. So like I couldn't back up. Or no, I couldn't move forward. I couldn't move forward because all the thrusters that were propelling me forward were destroyed in that blast range. So when it came time to go again, Nate charged the missiles, or charged the lasers, and as he was charging it, I went to go forward, and the ship didn't move. And I'm like... And it didn't go forward, so I had to approach it in reverse.
Nice.
But yeah, it is absolutely horrifying. Those lasers are terrifying. Because, like, that one dummy fire that he did when I was backing the ship up, I was probably 3 kilometers away, and I didn't hear the charging sound. You can hear the charging sound, for a few hundred meters out. But instead, I just saw this bright purple light fly from the side of the ship, and I heard boom as they fired into space, and that laser went as far as the eye could see.
Beautiful.
I want so desperately to see if I can shoot planets with it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll be down on the plans like at a random like firing zone. It's like, all right, test fire number 1. See it hit, and it's like, all right, it stopped. How far down did it go? I can't tell.
It went through.
It's there's a glowing light down there. I'm not sure if that's the rest of the laser or the core.
There's a Chinese kid waving back at me.
Oh man.
It's like a Death Star. Oh my god, if it works that well, we need to make a Death Star.
Didn't somebody try and make an actual Death Star laser?
Maybe.
Yeah, we do have a Death Star laser in the game. I don't know if it works.
I don't know if we
Do
ever
we?
tried it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's for Star Wars weapon pack.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
We'll save it before you
pretty
fucking
big.
blow up your home base.
It's like we try. It's like the planet just fractures, become asteroids. Like, well, shit.
You just see our giant, like, channeling underground base just kind of floating up through a bunch of rocks that are just opening up as it's...
Hey, it's no longer an underground base. We now have a new space station. It's like, well, bad news is planet blew up. Good news is we have a new space station.
That'd be the wonkiest ass shaped space station I've ever seen.
Doesn't matter.
Because it was designed... I could only imagine that being placed down in space because it was designed to be underground. I kid you not, when I decided to do that too, I took the inspiration and the idea from the base on Hoth in Star Wars. I'm like, those people were smart building underground. Because you know what? All of the bad things are up there.
And it's also for climate control since they were on a ice ball.
Yeah. But I mean, not only that, but it's already underground. So guess what? You just build a garage door out into the cave and you've got mining. Like that. You don't have to build a ship that can go all the way up to the surface and blah, 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 blah. You just go out the little blast door and start mining.
Nice.
Of course, now that blast door is still there, but the mine has been replaced with tunnels to take you to the landing zone. But there's still room to mine. I'm super happy with my forklift design. Anyways,
Anyway.
to sort of drastically change subject, but it still involves gaming. Tomorrow is Wednesday, July 17th. Tomorrow is the day that the new Sea of Thieves Black Powder stashes come out. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, so I'm going to play it safe. They said they've been experimenting with some balance changes as far as curse cannonballs and sailing and stuff like that goes. They have been working on some rebalance as far as rewards are concerned, and that will be rolling out tomorrow, as well as the main event, Black Powder stashes.
Yay.
John's going to have a field day.
Yeah, of course he is.
It almost might be worth not selling those powder kegs.
Yeah. If he decides he wants to play again.
I think he could. I think I could convince him to play. At this point, he would play anything if other people were playing with him. Right now, I kind of feel bad for John. I'm trying to get him to get Space Engineers, but he's like, it's too steep of a learning curve.
I'm ready to play Sea of Thieves though.
You're gonna just
Let's say no, it's
you and your
no, it's
realm.
not. I don't know shit about it, and I still play it.
well, the survival mode is a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah, we've never tried that.
We have, but it didn't go well, which is why we're building stuff to handicap us in survival mode. But I mean, it is a bit of a learning curve, but like, we need more people to play it with, because right now we've got this like huge spaceship designed for crews of 1,000 or more, and we're manning it with 4 people, 3 people, 3 people. That's
that's
ridiculous.
That's our main thing. Is like we're designing all our ships to basically where you can function them with 1 person.
Or 100. Whatever floats your boat.
No, I mean, like, we're designing them to where it's like, if you're sitting in the cockpit, you can do everything, which is a lot for 1 person. If you split it up to where it's like, oh, you actually had different people doing different
This
stuff.
person's in charge of locking the cargo magnets on the barge. This person's in charge of extending the cargo booms. This person's in charge of flying. More people need to get the game. Or, more people need to get a fucking PC.
Yeah, Tyler.
Ooh, straight up call out.
Ooh, feel a little heat from that one.
Instead of buying daggers, buy a computer.
No, I'll buy more knives.
Okay, and we're
What
going
if
to
I buy-
continue.
what
We're
if I
going to
buy-
continue to talk about games that you can't play.
What if I buy both? What if I buy a computer made
How
out
about
of
you?
knives?
I was about to say, how about you build a computer out of all the knives that you buy?
Be like the throne in Game of Thrones made out of swords.
Yeah, exactly. It's a computer case made out of knives.
Kind of cool if you made it right.
Yeah, it'd also be really hard to work on.
You just keep cutting yourself. God dang it!
Like, crap, my hard drive cable's loose. All right,
And I just fucking cut it off.
It's like, all right, I need to put this cable up here and think.
Think. Oh, damn it! Fuck.
It's the 4th one.
Pure
You
case
go-
made out of knives. Whose idea was this anyway? Stupid.
You go down to Best Buy, buy another cable. It's like, dude, this is like the 5th time you've been in here today. Like, what? How? What are you doing wrong? Be
My
like,
computer case is made out of knives.
No,
be like, oh yeah, and Obama's my dad.
No, I'm serious.
it's actually made out of knives.
Yeah.
Serious.
no, you just see his hands like they're covered in bandages. It's like,
I need another one. Dude, you're not supposed to cut these. It's like, I know. I'm not doing it on purpose.
I promise I'm not doing it on purpose. But yeah, this new Sea of Thieves update, they've been talking a lot. They've been really stressing in the recent developer updates about trying to get back into a regular rhythm of adding new content. They're like, these big updates that we have every few months are great, and a lot of people love them, but they're like, we want to still give you guys some stuff, as time goes on, just to keep you kind of engaged while we work on the big stuff. So, it's supposed to kick off a new... You guys remember the Build Rat Adventures?
Mm-hmm. Supposed to kick off more of those.
It's essentially that thing's second life. It's probably not going to be called Build Rat Adventures, but it's the same concept or idea. Also, I need to get one of those. I want to get a motion sled, though.
Where are you gonna put it?
I'll fucking find a place. I want to get a motion sled, but I would rather have a motion sled than one of those, to be honest.
Setting your sights pretty high, huh?
yeah.
I just wouldn't want to pay the amount of money for it.
Although, did any of you
Let's make our own.
notice the Wheelwood Festival of Speed?
What about it?
It was last week.
Yeah.
They showed a lot of new cars doing their thing,
Yep.
and they showed a lot of old cars doing it too. It was like,
Ford announced their new $1.2 million Ford GT.
Yep.
The
I'll take
Mark
10.
II.
I'll take 10.
yeah, and I didn't realize that those Rolls Royces, like those things can move for being basically a glorified brick.
Yeah,
they've
I'd
got
still
giant
never...
engines in 'em.
Yeah, they
I'd
do.
still never own a Rolls. Partially because of the cost, but partially because why?
I would.
Why?
Because you have more money and you know what the fuck to do with. And you
'Cause
want
money, that's
want
why.
your chauffeur to
They've
go
got-
from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
They've got space ceilings.
Chives, pick it up. Pick up the pace.
Come on. A little bit more pep, please.
I'd buy one just to drive to parties.
Just you see Nate pull up in his Royce that he pulls out once a year.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
trying to look at them
Hi,
because
I'm here for my niece's 3rd birthday party.
they had a bunch of Lancias, but they didn't show those.
Is this preferred parking or do I need to get a valet?
It's like, oh, don't worry, I brought my own.
Be
Gets
like,
out of the passenger seat,
"Oh."
walks around.
Oh, don't worry. I've brought my chauffeur. He'll go and park it for me.
It's like, dude, you just park in the yard somewhere.
The yard? No. That's too grueling for my Rolls Royce. It's like, yeah, we get it. You drive a Rolls.
The chauffeur opens up the trunk and pulls out like this big rug. It looks like a
It's like,
fake garage floor.
no. Even better, it's a red carpet.
Yeah.
Like he just.
Red carpet that they roll over the fucking yard. And
He sets up a tent.
It's like, Master Livers, would you like the red or the black carpet tonight? We'll go with red. I mean, we gotta be flashy, right? And meanwhile, you're in like downtown Clarksville.
you're at my house in the
Yeah.
fucking boonies.
Yeah.
Your neighbor's sitting on his porch, scratching his stomach, drinking a beer with an old fucking 85 Ford pickup in the driveway, and you get your chauffeur rolling out a carpet in front of you so you can park.
I wouldn't want to stain the paint any green or anything. I'd imagine if they did that, they would fucking he would have two carpets, so that he could drive over my gravel driveway, and he would lay out a carpet, drive on top of it, lay down the next one, drive on top of that, and then put the other one in front of it, so he would never have to drive on the driveway,
Oh my god.
drive on the gravel.
And then it's like,
You just see this car inching down the driveway, and it's like, there's Nate.
it's like while his chauffeur's getting in the car, moving it forward to the end of the carpet, then he has to get out.
Yeah, get out.
He has to roll the carpet, and then meanwhile Nate's sitting there in a 3-piece suit with a glass of wine, having conversations.
Yeah,
You
he's
just-
he's in the back with me. That reminds me, there was a guy back in the day, back in the medieval period, that he was a priest, and everybody fucking hated his guts because he would do shit like this. Some guy went to go visit the King of France, and only extremely high status people could have coaches in the courtyard of the king's castle, of the king's estate or whatever. So this guy is walking up to the king's estate, and here comes this coach galloping down next to him. He stops him and opens it up, and there's this fellow priest. He leans out the door, and he's like, "Oh my, it's so wonderful to see you, driver. Slow down, please." And he's like, "Oh, maybe he's gonna like offer me to get in there." No, the guy sits there, puts his hand on the guy's shoulder from leaning outside of the window of his coach, and drives next to him the entire way to the gate.
But no,
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
I'm just imagining like in like the mockumentary style of filming that The Office was done in, like he's just like you see Nate having a conversation with like his brother or something, they're grown up, like he said, he's showing up to his niece's birthday party, and he's sitting there talking with his brother, and he's wearing a 3-piece suit and champagne, and you just see a little bit out of focus in the background, you just see somebody getting into the car, inching it forward, getting out, running around to the front, rolling out a carpet, getting back in the car, moving it forward. He just turns around. "Oh, Chives, he's a little slow."
He's getting on in his years.
There's an old man
Not
sitting
as
there
limber as he
sweating.
used to
Yeah,
be.
you see like the 4th or 5th time he goes around, he stops and he leans down on his knees. Chives, pick up the pace.
Chop, I don't pay you to stand around.
It's like, "Sir, you barely pay me."
Well, I won't be if you keep this up.
We came up with some pretty good character ideas.
And just he's sitting there having a conversation. His brother's like, "So, why do you have to roll the car on a carpet?" "Oh, I don't want it to be getting dirty, son. You see, it's so clean you could eat a meal off the hood. Not
if
just
you-
any meal, but like a 7-course estate dinner with steaks and pork loins and mashed potatoes from the beautiful fields of whatever, and just the finest $4,000 wines you can find." And you're
But if you did, I would have to kill you.
and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm just kind of hungry for like pizza."
He's like,
But
or he's just like, well, I'm pretty sure the stuff we're drinking is like the $20 box wine you bought yesterday.
and then he's just like, "Are you trying to kill me?
It's like, shh. We don't talk about that.
No, it's just like, he goes on and on talking about the meal, and he's like, speaking of food, what will we be dining on tonight? And he's just like, pizza.
Well, I picked up some burgers from Walmart, some patties, stuff.
and then you just
hot
see
dogs.
you see the look on his face. He's like, Chives, I need you to back the car up. You just see.
It's like, Chives, call our helicopter in New York, and have them pick up a delicious meal, and have it delivered ASAP.
I just imagine that it's like, Chives, I need you to back the car up. We're leaving, and you just see him go, I just got it parked.
You just pull into the driveway as soon as that happens. Chives, turn around. We're going home.
I quit. He just leaves.
The reason I'm finding this so funny is because in my head I'm still watching it as a mockumentary show, so I'm just seeing some rich asshole turn around and go, Chives, turn it around, we're leaving. And it shifts focus and zooms in on him, and you just see this really like,
Just a soul crush. Like you could see the moment where he just realizes, this is my life. This is it. Oh man.
He gets it back to the road where he's just about ready to get off, and you're just like, oh, you know what? I've actually got a helicopter. I could just fly in a 3-course meal. Chives, we're gonna stay. Turn it around and he just gets in it and drives off.
No, that reaction he would have is the same one I have whenever they tell me there's 50 seatbelts I need to fix. I'm just like,
there's no words. You just like
Blank stares. Just blank.
Like you're trying, the reason you're so silent is because you're trying to not only restrain yourself from attacking the person that's talking to you, but you're also trying to find a professional and mature way to express the thoughts that you have, to which case it's just, okay.
it's just like, I'm gonna go die now.
It's like, I'll fix those, and if you need me for the next hour, I'll be in the bathroom crying.
It's just like you see him get in and he just drives out. It's like, where's he going? He must be going up to pick dinner. That's what he's doing.
Yes, of course.
4 hours go by.
It's a very excellent dinner. It takes a while to get.
It's a nice car. He's probably out joyriding.
Couldn't be more right on that one.
You call him up and he changes his voicemail. Hi, this is Chives. Fuck you. And then it goes straight to voicemail.
Chives, ex-chauffeur.
Now the proud owner of a Rolls-Royce Dawn.
If you'd
Oh,
like
dear.
to ride in it, just look me up on Uber X.
Oh man.
You get up on Uber X, you call him and he shows up and you're just like, not very professional, Chives.
And does burn out as he's going away.
It's like, you know what is professional?
Let's face it, this is Nate. He'd have a Wraith.
That's true. Oh man, we have some funny conversations on here.
He's about to have a Halo Wraith after this Area 51 raid.
Love when it goes silent and I can tell you're making a face or something, but have no idea what's going on. See, we would love to do a video podcast, but we don't have cameras.
That will work with any of our with this computer.
Right. I have to have something that can like stream in 1080p that's not gonna like provide a fish-eyed
And
perspective.
Also,
I think we should get a green screen if we do that.
good cameras
I
would
agree.
be fairly hefty price.
Yeah, it's something. Even just something.
And the way we have the podcast laid out right now, we'd need several cameras to get reaction shots. and
Well,
stuff
yeah,
like
we
that.
would. I mean,
To get
ideally,
everybody.
Yeah,
in
unless
the
you
shot.
want one sitting up over there. Try to.
you would need 5. In perfect world, you need 5. One
Yeah, in a
placed
perfect
like
world.
right here to look at Nick. One placed like right next to it for you, and then the same setup over there for Nate and me, and then have one to get the whole room.
Yeah.
What if GoPros would work?
They would. The problem with GoPros is though that they fisheye, like
Oh yeah, that's right.
they've got that expanded perspective, which is really cool, but it would not suit the purposes of this.
Are GoPros like $200?
You can get some affordable ones for like $60.
It if you want one that's just like without the case, that's like just the camera. Yeah, they're not much.
So we're looking at about $500 to $1,000,
About.
roughly.
Then we have to make it all work, which would take like.
That would take a lot of experimenting.
Yeah, because none of us know anything about video editing. Or
I know a little bit.
If we had a green screen though, we can make it look like we're in the middle of like a highway, and every now and then one of us has to dodge a car.
It's just like we're in the middle of conversation. Ah!
Except the editor that day forgot to put the car in, so
Yeah.
he's just diving on the ground for no reason. Yeah.
No, it's like a kitten at the edge of the futon. Like there's a kitten walking along a fence rail, and you're just like, ah!
Oh man.
I do think that about wraps us up. Oh no, we still got 4 minutes, man. It's a
Okay.
slow hour.
Yeah, it really is.
Did we start late?
We did
Yeah, we
a few
did.
minutes late
It was a few-
because I was waiting on Dingus over here.
Then I said I was gonna be late, and you guys started without me, and then I walked in.
when you say you're gonna be late, we don't know how late.
Yeah,
With you, there's no telling.
with Nate, there's
Well,
no
it's-
telling. Sometimes
It's
Nate will be like,
between- it's between 10 and half an hour.
Exactly.
Nate sometimes will be like, hey, I'm going to be late to the podcast. I remember this because this happened rather recently, and we're like, oh, okay, no big deal. And we got like 45 minutes in, and you showed up, and I'm like, well, that was kind of late.
I don't remember that.
There's also been other times where Nate's just been like, yeah, I'm gonna be late, and he shows up at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. But he's usually dead.
Yeah, usually.
He'll usually be sitting there on his phone going,
So,
and then I'll throw something at him, and he'll be like, I'm not falling asleep.
I'm not sleeping.
It's because I'm not.
Uh-huh. Sure.
There's nothing wrong with resting your eyes a little bit.
So-
that's what my dad says every time he's fucking snoring.
B-dubs are Outback.
B-dubs are Outback.
Yes.
I just went to Outback. I don't really want to go to B-dubs.
Nick's very disappointed.
Well, you're going to have to pick.
Yeah,
Why-
I'd
why
rather
one or
I'd
the
rather
other?
go to Outback because I honestly don't like Buffalo Wild Wings.
I like
Why
Buffalo
is it
Wild
one or
Wings.
the other?
Because Nate has gift cards, so he's got to use them.
Oh.
Well, you
Outback,
also have one
Wait,
other
Russian
one.
barbecue and B-dubs.
I prefer Outback to.
Nick said he'd prefer Outback.
Let's go to Outback.
We'll do Outback.
Yeah.
The Outback. I actually haven't been to the
The
new
Outback.
restaurant.
I
Like
haven't either.
It's
inside.
actually really nice. What, the one in Clarksville?
Yeah.
It's really nice.
I've gone to pick something up, but I haven't gone to.
What do you do, Uber Eats?
No, my mom ordered it to go. Like she put in an order online, and I went and picked it up after work one day. Sleeping on Texas Roadhouse. I mean,
We
no.
don't have gift cards for Texas Roadhouse.
We just don't have gift cards for Texas. How do we feel about the Area 51 raid? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore chat. It's stupid, and I hope that it's a meme, but it probably isn't.
Well, I mean, it is a meme, but people are gonna take it seriously.
Yeah,
There's
that's
over
what I
a
mean.
million people that signed up for it, so law of averages says that there's gonna be quite a few people that show up to Area 51.
Let's just not
here-
forget that they also do bomb testing.
Yeah.
Area
It doesn't take but one to...
There was a director there or some shit that made an official statement about it, and they were just like, you have to keep in mind that this is a live practice range for a lot of military technology and stuff like that, and the U.S. Air Force is determined to defend itself and defend the country and its assets at all costs.
You know what they just did?
So-
They just pretty much covered their ass in case somebody dies because they're stupid.
Yeah,
They're pretty
they
much
were
like,
just
we're
"Wait."
warning you,
Yeah.
this is not a safe idea.
It's like you guys can try, but bad things might happen.
I mean, it's
A bomb might accidentally land on you.
Yeah,
you know what's annoying though is they might have to spend a lot of tax money just to send reinforcements there because of this stupid situation.
stupid
they're
joke.
gonna blow your tax money anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I know, but
They're painting the I can't believe it's not Butter Bridge as we speak, so
You want to know why they're
I
doing that
think
color?
Indiana's done with their half.
Yeah.
It's just Kentucky's half left.
That's supposed to have been one of the original colors. Like,
Cool.
Like when you get those things built, that was like supposed to be one of the colors you could order. It's fucking stupid though.
I told my
Because
dad.
it
My
ba-
dad's like, it's nice. It's better than just a plain white. He's like, it looked too industrial. I'm like, it doesn't have to be white. You could make it red, like that kind of like burnt orange red color that like the Golden Gate Bridge is. I
Yeah.
think it's the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, no, me and my dad were talking about this. It's like if they decided a better color, a good color would be like that.
Blue.
You know,
Like
you
a
know
light
what?
blue.
You know that green copper that green color copper
Yeah.
turns to when it's rusted or whatever, not rusted.
That's the color of the Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah, it's like that would have been great because there's several roofs over in Louisville that are they're copper. But no, let's paint it butter yellow. Yeah.
And on that note, we are out of time.
Hey.
We will be live tonight. That is the plan. And then tomorrow, and I'll get more on to detail about this at the end of tonight's stream, but we'll probably be live for a large chunk of tomorrow playing a wide spread of different games. So, yeah, come hang out with us later this evening, and we'll hang out with you then. So thanks for listening. We'll see y'all later tonight.
Bye.